Why is that happening in a world that is so full of abundance? As we look around us, that we live in an abundant reality. I don't care whether it's here or elsewhere. We live in a world that has so much. And so I think often we get caught in our lives and we are tempted to think that somehow whatever comfort that we're experiencing that we somehow earned. And I realize that, I know things are by right of consciousness, and so I grew up in a situation that was comfortable. I had that. So when I think of my life now, it really is a reflection that comes out of that. But why was it me that was able to grow up in that situation? What preceded that consciousness that allowed that to occur, or any one of us to grow up in the experience that we grew up in? And so I think that oftentimes we get comfortable in our experience. We get comfortable in what it is that we have and what it is that we're doing and where it is that we're going. And so we have these experiences that show up. In the last couple of years, we are, and we're still in the middle of the recession experience that we have had. And the recession is a stark reminder to us. More than anything else, it's a reminder to us how vulnerable and how temporal things are in this reality, in this world. It brings it right into our face as those who have assets watch their assets decline, as we see jobs begin to disappear, and we don't have much control over a lot of the things that are going on. And so there is no sitting back in bliss and watching these things occur if we're connected to the reality that exists. There is no being secure in our comfort, because I don't think that's what the world was created for. I don't think the world was created for us to work, save our retirement, and retire, and sit on our porch and drink mint juleps or whatever you like to drink on your porch. I think the world was created to keep us on edge. I think this creation is about us staying on the edge of our experience, and that we are here to be creative. We have come here to be on the creative edge and to be productive regardless of our experience, regardless of how we've organized and set up our life. And it demands of us that we contribute somehow to the good in this world. It calls us to do that. It calls us out of our comfort zone and says, it's time. And so we see the value of our assets drop. It's time to step out of our comfort zone and contribute to the good in the world so that we might make a difference. If you are physically competent and mentally alert, God will not let you rest on your laurels. The universe is not designed to let us rest on our comfort if we're physically able and mentally alert. We must be part of bringing good into the world. We must validate our footprint on the planet in order for us to really experience a full life and the fullness of our life. That's what it's about. It's not about counting up the things that we've collected. It's about sitting in the presence of who we are and saying, what have I done to make a difference in the world? And we don't have to do something, we don't have to go to the moon. It's, what have I done to make a difference in someone's life? I have a friend that he actually was my best friend in high school, and we were in a rock band together. And he became a detective for the Spokane Police Department. So he was a homicide detective for a number of years, and he worked in some areas that are pretty rough in terms of human consciousness. And he retired about a year ago. Well, not quite a year ago. It was last spring. He retired, and we play golf every. When I go over to Coeur d'Alene in the summer, we always play golf 2 or 3 times. And he and I went to a football game, Idaho football game, in the last fall. And so, because we sort of grew up Vandal fans, and so we went down to the game. And on the way down, it's the first time we really had a chance to talk. And I asked him, well, what are you doing? You retired. And he said, I went through the summer, and that was fine. I had a nice little break, but I just got restless. He says, so I walked down the street to the grade school that was closest to my house and asked them if they need help with coaching kids for reading or kids that are underprivileged or difficult kids, that sort of thing, and I'd be happy to volunteer. And so he's been going down every single day down to this grade school, and he's been working with underprivileged kids. And, he's happier than he's ever been. There's this part of him that is being fed by that experience. Now, you don't have to be retired to do that. Jean Borst in our congregation, she does our newsletter, and she decided a while back that she was going to join AmeriCorps. And so and I mentioned this before, but she joined AmeriCorps, and the first thing her husband says is, "Are you going to leave me and go someplace else?" And she said, well, no, her assignment was 15 miles down the road, or 15 minutes down the road at a grade school where she's been working this past fall. And she comes in and does the bulletins. She volunteers quite a bit, and we've talked a lot about it. And it's been a very fulfilling experience for her to be a part of that, reaching out and making a difference and helping. And so there's lots of stuff that we can do. Jesus said that when you do it to the least of these, you have done it unto me. When you do it to the least of these, you've done it unto me. And I think the point is that when we live a life of intention, when we create a particular intention in our life to be of service to the world or to show up in the world in a way that contributes something powerful and meaningful and important, and that can be a lot of different things. It isn't like there's one particular area that needs everybody's attention. We all have something in us that is wanting to show up in some place in the world and make a difference in some way in the world. And so we ask that question. He asked the question, why does war exist? Well, I don't know why war exists, except that I know that we have this unconscious survival instinct, and when we go unconscious about it, it shows up in destructive ways. And so we become destructive. But when we're conscious, when we stop for a moment and we become conscious about who we are, then we realize that we're not just here to survive. That really it isn't about survival. There's this sort of biological survival process that goes on, that we have to procreate and grow the species and all that sort of instinctual kind of stuff. But I think in consciousness, in spirit, in the intention that out of which we were created, we're not here to survive, we're here to thrive. We're here to make a difference somehow in the world. We're here to do something meaningful and important in our life. I was watching, I got Netflix, and you can live stream Netflix online now, so you can watch 18,000 movies without even... All at once. All at once, yeah. You can have a movie marathon, And so I was going through the list of movies looking for something that was interesting. I came across Food, Inc., and many of you may have seen Food, Inc. And so I started watching it, and it was this whole thing about our food delivery system, and it's a documentary. It's well done, and it was very good, and it was very powerful, and I kept wanting to stop watching it, but I couldn't. It was one of those kinds of things. I thought, I don't want to watch this, but then I couldn't, because they'd kind of take you to the next thing, and it really, the whole thing around it, I've sort of been into the food stuff anyway, so it kind of spoke to a part of me that's already sort of awakened around that, but I haven't really taken the steps that I need to take to go the rest of the way in terms of my contribution. And so I thought, what I want to do for 2010, and this movie sort of fed right into that whole thing. I thought, basically the way it ended up in the movie, it laid up all these issues and challenges and how we treat the animals that are in our food chain and all that stuff. All the stuff. I'm not going to get into the details. You can watch the movie if you want the details. But all that stuff, it laid it all pretty gruesomely, in a way that's very compelling. But what it said is that the way change occurs, and this is the message that I thought was powerful. The way change occurs is by every consumer making a decision. And so our system, and this is what it reminded me of, is our system is set up that it responds to consumer decisions. And so when a consumer makes a decision to do something, the system responds to it. And the reason that our food system has gone the way it's gone is because of the enormous fast food industry, and it's feeding the fast food industry. The types of food that are done is basically done to feed the fast food industry.